It's Red Hot 90s Action Summer here at the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. We're covering your favorite sweaty 90s action movies all month long. Expect stunts galore, transportation mishaps, and lots of henchmen. We've got Schwarzenegger, Chan, and possibly even Reeves. It's going to be hot and steamy all August long. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We're hanging in there. We're hanging 10, actually, I should say, on this episode. As we continue our Red Hot 90s Action Summer Reloaded. So we've done a couple episodes now. We got Arnold in there.
Yeah.
We got Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker in there.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Nice addition there. And today we're going to be you know what? We have never had him actually on a Red Hot Action Summer episode, but we have had him in the past. Kurt Russell.
I thought you were going to say Gary Busey because we were going to be doing Point Break because you made the Hang 10 reference.
That would have been something, but
yeah.
No. Kurt Russell, our guest on the show today.
Come on in, Kurt.
Come on. Grab that microphone, Kurt. Fresh off of the Santa Chronicles 4, Kurt Russell.
Is that what we're doing this year?
I know.
Him and Goldie Hawn's Vanity Project.
we do need to have Santa Chronicles on here at some point. I've seen the first one, about the second one, but Kurt Russell. Again, we've had him on a couple times. We did The Thing, and we've done Escape from New York, and we're
and Tombstone.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
What do you mean you forgot about that?
I forgot. I don't know. I just forgot. Blocked it from my mind.
Jesus Christ!
Just kidding. But no,
you know what? No. Show's over. Ryan's gonna remember everything but Tombstone. He's gonna remember fucking Uncle Sam before.
Yeah. But today we're returning to a Kurt Russell fan favorite, and we're escaping again as well, I should say. This time we're not escaping from New York, though.
What about the Bronx?
No, not the Bronx. No, not that one. Not any of the other, Exterminators of the Year 3000 or whatever other films that were Escape from New York ripoffs. Not any of that, but we're escaping from LA, which is actually kind of prescient in today's political climate. With the LAPD being dispatched to, police LA, but it's Escape from LA today. 1996 film from John Carpenter and Kurt Russell.
And Deborah Hill.
And Deborah
Which,
Hill.
by the way, hold on. You said it wrong. What's the name of the film?
It's John Carpenter's Escape from LA.
Thank you.
And this one is, and you talked about this outside of the, recording, but this one is a movie that was 15 years after Escape from New York. Something that John Carpenter didn't do all that often, is returning to some of his works. And
he's very anti-sequel. And
yeah.
Which you can watch a lot of interviews where he talks about that he's got no interest in, doing, continuing a franchise.
Which in general is probably a good idea. In practice, though, it can often bite you in the ass because you can do a great initial film and then have somebody fuck up the rest of your sequels.
Well, it was funny because when you were showing that Halloween game trailer today, it's like, sorry if I butcher it. I know the last name. I don't know his first name, but like Mohammed Akkad presents, and it's like, let's see, the franchise started going downhill.
Yeah,
like seeing the Akkads on it, but
that's right. I mean, and for good reason too. You can see why John Carpenter never really returned to his films for a sequel. And Escape from LA may be the most perfect example of why one shouldn't return to their films 15 years after their initial release.
Do you think because he's also the same school of like, Spielberg, Coppola, Lucas, like he saw Lucas basically his entire career be stunted because of Star Wars. Like do you think he was like, yeah, that's why I'm not fucking doing a sequel to any of my goddamn movies.
Yeah, it's possible.
Look at this prick. It takes him 30 years to release, something.
I feel like he is just a dude who is like, he did it. It's done. He lives with the with however it was released and in the fanfare that it had, and he moves on. I think he's just that kind of guy, and he doesn't generally like to return to the same ideas, and he likes to branch out. That's another reason why he was not that prolific of a director as some other directors might have gone on to be, because he, especially in his later career, started really picking and choosing his projects. Because some of his earlier projects were sort of forced onto him, and he didn't necessarily take it out of pleasure of doing the project, but because it was he was forced to. And I think later on, once he got to a certain point, he did have that leeway of not taking on projects that he really didn't care about, until, I guess, I don't know if we are counting something like his later career, not the 90s, but the 2000s, where he sort of phoned some stuff in, and even now, still phoning a few things in, quite literally, with that one show that he did, like suburban, whatever it was called, or it was like a true crime show that he directed from remotely through Zoom.
Oh yeah, the one they were. I can't remember what the hell it was called, but I remember like them parading around like John Carpenter's back.
Yeah,
and John Carpenter.
I watched it and it was horrible. He only directed one episode, but the whole series itself.
Well, I mean, I imagine that they paid him a lot of money for that. They're like, listen, we just want the cachet.
Well, yeah. I mean, not only that. I mean, his name's on it. He's presenting it. And then also, he did direct an episode. I think it was remotely. That he directed the episode. So, he was on the end of a camera and basically just like, all right, yeah, you guys do that. It looks great. It's great. Just fucking roll it. So
that was sorry to interrupt. That was during COVID, wasn't it?
No, it was like 2022, 2023. So productions had kind of gone back to fairly normal. I mean, I respect the dude who maybe he was like, I'm not going on set. Yeah, right now. I'm fucking 85 years old or whatever he is. I'm not going on set right now, but sure.
There's a lot of whiskey and smokes that I want to have, and
if you need me to direct, sure, I'll do it from afar. But so I can understand that. But from the capacity, like I said, I think for a lot of the years, especially in the 90s, he was able to direct just projects that he really wanted to focus on. And and I don't know that I'm sure I've watched the special features that I've had from Escape from LA for. And I think the first and only time I saw this movie was back in, probably almost 10 years ago now, I think, whenever the Blu-ray released. But I feel like I watched it and I watched all the extra features, and I'm sure there was some information about the making of Escape from LA, but I don't really know the genesis of the actual reason why they were like, yeah, let's return to Snake Plissken. I'm sure it's outlined somewhere, but and I don't know if this was something that would like Kurt Russell was like, hey, John, you want to do this again with me? Because this one, unlike Escape from New York, it is certainly a kind of like a buddy project between Carpenter and Kurt Russell. This wasn't, go ahead.
I was going to say, from what I read on the Wikipedia part, Kurt Russell has been wanting to do he's been wanting to revisit Snake Plissken. Yeah. And the film was originally starting to be written back in '87, but Carpenter found it to be too campy, which is funny. But I mean, I get it. Like, for Kurt Russell, like, again, like, this should have been and could have been, like, a great, like, spin-off action franchise. You know, Kurt Russell, Snake Plissken is back.
Yep.
But they never went that route. And,
like the
it's just-
inevitable movie that just has his name in it.
yeah,
You know.
and I think too, like, the fact that, like, by the time this comes out, Kurt Russell has more money than God probably at this point. So he's like, John, I want you to fucking direct this movie and help me write it. And John's like, all right, fine, whatever, you know. But yeah, I think the film's like very anachronistic. Like, it's
Sure.
like totally a fish out of water, but also dovetails with Carpenter's 90s output.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's like totally like from this, you can be like, how the hell did he get to renowned Twitter asshole James Woods? And it's like, and vampires. It's like, yeah, that's how.
Oh, that's how. Yeah, he's working on that stuff, and then yeah. I mean, again, this is. I don't know how people feel about Escape from LA. I do believe it has some fans, some
It's gotten a cult
unapologetic fans.
It's gotten a cult resurgence.
Sure. Yeah.
I do remember it being called like one of Carpenter's worst films.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
which is
that
why.
When was that though? Was that prior to stuff like Ghosts of Mars in the War, or was it after?
I think it was after still. Like, but I mean, at the same time though, like that's one of the reasons I've never seen Escape from LA.
Mm-hmm.
Just because. It was never on TV. It's not like it was something, and it's been on a couple of like streaming services and stuff. But I've never really had like an inch to go out and reach it because again, it's like as somebody, and you can watch your great 200th episode, Escape from New York, our review on that. I'm a big fan of that film.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, and it's like kind of like why bother? You know, if you didn't do it, like, and that's one of the things I hate about modern cinema is the fact, like, 30 years later, like, here's a sequel. It's like, just to cash, you know,
Yeah.
for the cachet sake. So, I mean, I get it in the sense that Kurt Russell wanted to do it, but at the same time, and as we'll talk about,
it doesn't come off as
it doesn't, like, you know,
it's no Escape from New York for sure.
It's a project that should have been like either done in 84 or just left to the dustbin of time and be like,
and partially that the problem with continuing Escape from LA at that time was that Carpenter got busy in the 80s. After and again, one of his passion projects would be The Thing, which released in 1982. Working with Kurt Russell, that and Escape from New York were pretty close together, and probably projects that were just back to back that for Carpenter. Yep, and then Christine as well. I mean, he was a busy dude in the 80s. He was putting out almost a film a year. And that was obviously his shining run of movies. And we've done actually most of these. I mean, from The Fog, Escape from New York, The Thing, Christine, Starman. It's not really everybody's favorite movie from him, but it is, another one of the movies that it's fairly well received. Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, They Live. I mean, that was a huge run of movies, and I think part of the problem with that was trying to fit Escape from LA in there. He's just busy. He's just busy doing passion projects and things that he really wants to do. I don't know. I think that part of that issue cropped up, and he didn't have time to work on Escape from LA, and it kind of snuck away. And then, after that, I think Village of the Damned too, as we talked about, we did that episode, that left a bad taste in his mouth. He was kind of forced into that project as well. I mean, he likes Village of the Damned well enough, but I feel like there was a lot of production meddling in that and kind of forced into. And so maybe at that point he was like, you know what, Kurt, I'm okay with doing Escape from LA. Let's do it, because it's been a dream of ours to return to that, and it was the right time in 96. But I think part of it is just that they got busy, busy time for Carpenter. But all right, so let's take a break real quick to talk about the beer that we have on the show today. And I was the one that picked it out, and I tried to match the theme a little bit here. I think I did a pretty good job with the name of the beer. So I got one from Prison City Brewing, which we've definitely never had on the show. Never had a Prison City. I've only had one other Prison City, and I believe that was a collaboration. So it's not one that we often get around here, which is kind of surprising because it's fairly local to us. It's in Auburn, New York. Don't know why it's just not one that we really get a lot around here, but unfortunately, that's the case. So I've never had too many of them.
I don't think I've had any, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I've had one other one. So, but this one is actually, it's a good place to start because it is their like flagship beer, the first, like the one that they started with, and it's called Mass Riot. And I thought that was pretty relatable to today's film, Escape from LA. So I went with it. And, the idea behind it is not like, the style isn't anything new. It's a New England IPA, of course. Pretty common around here, and we cover them quite a bit. But, I thought it was a cool name and cool tie-in for Escape from LA. So, so this one is a Citra Mosaic Simcoe hopped New England IPA. It is their like flagship first beer. Pretty well received as far as I've seen, and I think it is a pretty damn good New England style IPA. It's flavorful. It's got a nice hop balance to it. A lot of the, in terms of a New England IPA, this is probably like the quintessential idea of what is a New England IPA. Hazy, hoppy, citrusy, and fruity. Get them all together, and you've got yourself a quality beer. And again, too, what I will point out about this Prison City is that it does taste like there are quality components in there, quality hops, quality malt. It's a very well-rounded beer, and I think as in terms of it being their flagship or their starting point, it makes a lot of sense. So really good job from Prison City. I would definitely check them out again based on just having this particular beer. How about you?
Yeah. Before going into the beer, I just got to say, because I was like, Auburn, I'm pretty sure I know where that is. It's like dead center in New York. It's in Cayuga County.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to divide the state in half by east and west, it's like literally dead center in the state. So that's pretty cool. But also, too, because it's on like the Finger Lakes. A funny thing was, I saw a video the other day, and this is somebody who's giving out about people complaining that, like, which I agree with, like, the people who say anything, Yonkers and North is upstate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the person was listing all the areas of New York, like, the Adirondacks, Capital Region, Central, Western. And you know what they forgot?
What'd they forget?
That's right, the Southern Tier, the forgotten part.
That's right.
The forgotten part of New York State. Even though this has nothing to do with it, I was just thinking, like, wow, our hypothesis is being, proven true. The Southern Tier, the forgotten part of New York State, which it is. That sidebar all being said, this is a very good NIPA. Got a pretty, for tropical fruitiness, like a blood orange, very dry. Yeah, I would say like blood orange, like tartness to it.
Mm-hmm.
Grapefruity, obviously. It's got a good hop balance. It's got like, some pretty big pine notes for a NIPA. But it's well balanced. It's very nice. I like it. Makes me want to try to have some of their more beer. Some more of their beer.
Some more of their beer, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, where'd you even get this? Because I've never even seen it around.
This was actually just at Hannaford, our local supermarkets. They have been attempting to get a few more beers in that are, like specialty, but still locally sourced. And so I think this was part of it. And I was actually very surprised to see Prison City there. It's definitely like there's a few that they've started getting in there that I don't know if they have like a sort of small distribution. But yeah, I've never seen Prison City there, so I was excited, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna grab that while I'm here.
I was gonna say, I'm very curious to see who's distributing this right now because again, like
I don't know if it's like D. Crescenti or whatever, but
or Saratoga Eagle.
I mean,
it's probably D. Crescenti, but I mean,
probably.
But still, it's just fun to think about. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it is nice when you see like stuff like this come in. Like, oh, where'd it go? And it's like, you were the only people buying it. So.
Yep. And again, I don't know too much, like, I didn't see any other varieties. Like, they really just had this flagship Mass Riot. But, yeah, I mean, it's cool to see Hannaford kind of expanding out a little bit, especially because I tend to go there and try to get the deals on, like larger 12-pack beers of, standard, breweries that we have around Sam Adams, Saranac, stuff like that. I'll if I'm looking for, a pack, I generally go to Hannaford because it is cheaper. They generally have deals on it. But
especially
then when I was there,
especially the seasonals, because then we're the only schmucks going in to buy it. And they're like, they're putting like the rollback still. It's not Walmart, but they're putting like the markdown sticker on. It's like, don't mind if I do,
Exactly. But then when I was there, I saw this and I was like, you know what? I think I'll grab one of those too. So it's nice to see, and hope to see more of it coming to Hannaford, and hope to see more Prison City as well. Because again, like you said, even though it's smack in the middle of the state, we don't see it that often around here.
I mean, it's a 2-hour drive too from where we are.
Yeah, but I mean, there's further breweries that we get pretty readily around here. So I'm surprised that it doesn't distribute as much as would be expected. So yeah, let's get right into Escape from LA. I'm sure there's a lot to talk about. So we might as well dive in. What? So we didn't actually talk in the intro. You never saw Escape from LA, right? You just kind of knew about it, and you
yeah. I mentioned that I've never seen it before. I have been aware of it. I've like in some of the stuff, like we'll talk, some of the scenes that people are very familiar with. But I've never gone on it was never on TV, so it's not like I ever caught it on TV. And two, as somebody who is a big fan of Escape from New York, it just, with the reputation it had, I didn't really feel like it was worth, just searching out.
Yeah. Because it doesn't have a great reputation. And I think, initially the film itself, it starts off, I would say, fairly strong in the fact that it does seem very reminiscent of Escape from New York. I think Carpenter does a pretty good job setting it in the beginning of kind of setting the tone for the film, setting up the idea of behind the change in location. This time, instead of New York, it's LA. It's been separated from the rest of the mainland by an earthquake, and so it's now just an island that people are shipped off to, much like ICE is doing currently to parts of the population.
It's great. Like, so this is like one of the things that is really great about the movie. Like the setup, like again, with Escape from New York, the premise is very, bare bones. We just know it's a future dystopian, authoritarian, fascist America because of what you get to see and experience. Obviously, turning New York City into a giant gulag open air prison would hint at that, in spite of Donald Pleasance being such a wonderful man. But that being said, so like here they set it up and they really go into it. And it's kind of funny to think about it because, again, the film talks about the president who was elected turned the country into a theocracy. And he said, LA is full of Sodom, is the city of Sodom, is the city of Gomorrah, and it deserves to be, a blight. And then an earthquake hits and a tsunami, and it breaks away and wipes them out. And if you commit moral crimes, you are no longer a citizen of the United States, and you are deported to this hellscape land as the LA Island. That's a great idea. Like, it really makes it more nuanced. Again, we already know from previous Carpenter films his, stance on politics, anti-fascism, it kind of at first too, I was laughing, like the whole opening, like, welcome to the theater, no talking, no red meat, no smoking, no marriage outside the health department. It's like kind of like a Dennis Leary bit where he's like, I'm going to eat all the red meat and, smoke all the cigarettes that I want. I don't give a goddamn, but,
Yep. Yeah, that doesn't come in till later in the, to the end of the movie though, where they kind of drop that, they talk about at the beginning of the film, there will be no sin in the United States. There was, which makes sense because at the beginning when you're seeing Snake get wheeled out with the procession of guards, like he's Luigi Mangione. We see a bunch of other people being basically deported as well from the LA deportation area, and in that scenario, we see them you get to kind of tell the personalities that they have. There's prostitutes, and they kind of talk about that too. There's prostitutes. There's there's any other people that they deem as unworthy within the normal population.
Ungodly.
Yes, ungodly. And they kind of run over they don't say it outright in Carpenter's, but we can imagine it's probably gay people. It's probably, any other people that they deem as poor in the eyes of religion. So that's who they're deporting, and they're just basically sending them all over to LA. Whereas, in Escape from New York, it was kind of the worst of the worst people, the hardcore criminals that you would normally find in maximum security. And no, instead they were just sending them over to within Escape from New York. But
I would say badass is like Isaac Hayes when he starts driving down the road. That's not the soundtrack playing. That's real pimp music just coming out of the car because he's such a badass.
And I guess the distinction here for LA too is that there's probably a lot more people to send over there from LA for one thing, because of just the way, I think that's also kind of the wink of Carpenter is there's probably a lot of people that would fall into this life of what they call sin within this futuristic world. So they're sending a lot of people over to LA, and in that scenario, a lot of times throughout the film, they kind of comment on the fact that no, it's kind of cooler over here actually than living in the rest of America. The rest of America is kind of square and boring.
Shitty. Can't get good street tacos.
Exactly. And over here, we've got vendors. We've got new metal music that you don't get over there.
How dare you? That's not even new metal. That's just really bad punk. Really bad.
We've got surfing. We've got all this awesome stuff. And then, along the way too, we've also got a little bit of crime here and there. What are you going to do? You live free, you live hard. So
I do love the fact that when he's entering and they're deporting people and they're if you want to
electrocute yourself and over.
Yeah, that's fucking great. It's a stupid thing.
And not only that, but people take them up on the offer. Yeah. They're because they show a few people being electrocuted in a chair. Now, it would be maybe a little bit different if they were we're going to be, instead of a literal electric chair, I kind of could see it being more sort of electric shock therapy in terms of how they used to treat people in insane asylums.
I was thinking more it's way over the top of the electric chairs, but it kind of works with the film's kind of style. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think it would be better. It's if you feel like you want to repent and not go over to LA, get on your knees and pray to God, and maybe he'll accept you after putting a bullet in the back of your head, But again, the film doesn't have that kind of grit. It doesn't even come close to having the grittiness of Escape from New York. It's very wrapped up in a mid-90s sheen that is very inappropriate.
And it's not really nuanced either, for the most part. It kind of lacks, again, whereas Escape from New York kind of left things open-ended as to how the viewer might take the idea of sending hardcore criminals over to their own area. I mean, of course, it was critical of that, but it kind of left it open to the audience what to think about that. Here, it's very clear, that the audience is not supposed to see this idea of sending, any old person that they don't agree with over to LA. It's a lot more in your face. And I think, a lot of times that's what John Carpenter's doing in this film. It's a lot more in your face, no matter, regardless of what is being shown on screen. Like, it's pretty much presented to the audience in a way that's, you can't really miss the overall or overarching meaning of it. There's no eschewing, political stances or anything like that. It's pretty clear.
And that's what's the thing that really bothers me about the film. Like, the setup on that idea alone is like really good. Like, again, it could be
the idea behind like the earthquake happening, LA being separated,
and like just the explanation of the fascism and the theocracy and how that's all working.
Right, all makes sense. All
and it's all great,
Americanized. Yeah.
Yes, and it's very wonderful. And then you go down the rabbit hole, and it's like Che Guevara, right. And like just over the top, Steve Buscemi's your guide to the stars, right. And it's like it's like, again, the word that I would use for this film is, and I've said it to you, it's like an anachronistic, because again, it doesn't know, or at least I don't think it knows what it wants to be. Mm-hmm. I think it wants to be all of these things, but it just doesn't work. And that original opening basically means nothing because, again, it turns into Looney Tunes like for 90% of the film. So it's like, in a world of fascism, Snake Plissken's here to go and stick a finger up someone's ass. Like, it's just...
How do you... So, like, I agree. I think I agree with you for the most of that. I like the idea behind the opening of the film and how that is presented, bringing Snake in and kind of how everything does look sort of like Escape from New York in a way and kind of follows along the same pathway.
You're not saving the president this time. He's taking his daughter.
Yeah. I mean, I think all that works pretty well, in my opinion. Like, I'm cool with that all the way up to there. And I think, even having Kurt Russell kind of a little bit more, maybe hamming it up a bit. Yeah, and expressive as Snake. I mean, I'm still okay with that. It obviously is a little bit more over the top than Escape from New York, but I'm fine with all of that. And I think it does set up a pretty intriguing premise that works off of Escape from New York and basically kind of seems like, hey, remember Escape from New York? Well, we're going to redo that again, but we're just going to do it a little differently this time. And I think if everything had gone well with that, I think Escape from LA could have been a pretty good movie by just following those guidelines. But instead, it really goes off the rails throughout the movie. And I think it suffers from a lot of mistakes that occur where John Carpenter relies on the audience sort of suspending disbelief and sort of going along with the flow. And I don't think it works that well once it really gets into the ideas. And I think you touched on that a little bit. Again, the setup is fine, but when you really start to get into the nitty-gritty details of what occurs when Snake gets to LA, that's when things start to run afoul of the audience. And how do you feel? I guess we can go through step by step as to like the encounters that Snake has. Like, how do you feel about Snake meeting up with the Surgeon General of LA, who's played by the great Bruce Campbell.
Let's say the immortal Bruce Campbell.
Apparently so, yeah. What do you think about the Surgeon General? I mean, that's kind of once he gets over there, besides a few run-ins with vagrants and things like that, that's his first real encounter with any
it's great
offensiveness. Yeah,
it's great, but the problem is it's Bruce Campbell's on the screen for 3 minutes and that's it.
True.
Like, it's literally like a one-note beat. Like, he shows up like, I'm the Surgeon General, looking like Michael Jackson, and then Snake, puts a dart in his head, and then he's out, and we're on.
I would have been cool with Bruce Campbell being like the overall villain in this movie, because I do think it has like a nice, he's great when he comes in, and he actually, unfortunately, kind of steals the moment in that scene, because I think the Surgeon General is a really cool idea. I think it works really well. Like, again, sort of kind of a sarcastic nod to LA.
And the plasticness.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not only that, but all the women that he's been reformatting look like MAGA face now. Like, it kind of looks like Kristi Noem and all of those people that are...
How dare you?
Ice Barbie.
She killed Crypto the dog. Isn't that the funniest part about that the whole South Park bit? Is she's bitching up a storm like, I don't look like that, and she's not even commenting on the fact that the show has her plugging like 40 different puppies.
Yeah, that doesn't bother. No.
Did you see like the Paramount Plus ending where she like plugs like 20 dogs?
No, I didn't.
She walks into like a dog store. You just hear, she just starts unloading on the store. Like at the very end, like one dog sneaks out and she just fucking plugs it.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll be honest. I really think that the idea behind the Surgeon General is really great. I think it works really well. Again, it's sort of like understated, but in your face, and I think Bruce Campbell does a really great job. It's just too bad he doesn't get much more screen time than that.
He's like, I think he would work better as like because he is like as a sub boss, like a henchman.
Yeah.
But the fact, like, Che Guevara. But they don't, there's no tying to it. He's just, and it's like, and that's one of the things too I hate about this movie. I don't think, especially in the 90s, with this horrible CGI job, even for 96, and green screen effects, LA does not look like a place like you would even care to do. It doesn't have the same menacing and character, because in Escape from New York, the city itself is a character. It's that legendary 70s shithole New York where you walk down the street and you're going to get mugged and raped at the same time. Whether that be true or not, it's like, that's Charles Bronson's New York. Here it's just a fucking green screen. You don't feel like you're in LA except for the fact that like Hollywood Bowl, Sunset Boulevard, and the USC Stadium, it feels very detached.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a character itself.
It's not to say that LA doesn't have its own issues that, are kind of pointed out similarly to New York. I mean, New York, back in the late 70s, early 80s, when Escape from New York was created, was certainly like a place that people were heavily attuned to, knew that it was a, violent, lawless place, basically. Criminality was running rampant. LA in the 90s, not so much, but it still had its places, Skid Row. It definitely has a character to it. Now, I don't know that most people think of think of LA as some place like lawless place.
Well, back in the 90s, like during like the OJ and Rodney King riots, like I can see the connection there, but in the film they don't. Which from what I've read on Wikipedia, what Kurt Russell said, like he was inspired by like the riots that were going on to like want to make this.
Yeah, and I can see that. I mean, and I think that one of the problems with LA though here, at least in what they've done with the film, is that it's somewhat faceless, right? Like if they didn't tell you this is LA, would you really know that it was LA? Besides the fact that they've got Beverly Hills Hotel and things like that.
Like I said, because the fact that they're like, hey, look, it's Sunset Boulevard.
Right. Yeah, they have to.
Hey, look, it's it's the Hollywood Bowl. It's just again because it's a lot of it's green screen. It just
the problem is that it doesn't really have a character of its own to it. And they do have to keep drawing attention. And not only that, but like you said, the really poor CGI. Like one thing that I'm thinking of in particular is that first submarine scene with Kurt, basically flying through the waters of.
I was thinking like the fucking Gungan shit from episode 1. Like, oh my god, Qui-Gon, we're going down to visit Gungan City. Wow! That's my Jar Jar impression.
And I mean, I think it's really not. It's not good for one thing. The CGI is horrible. But then not only that, like you have these really kind of cringy moments where he's like, oh my god, he just drove past Universal Studios and stuff like that. That it just, I don't know, it just is really goofy. And I think that's like part of the first part where it's going to really bring you out of the film. Because I think overall, like Stacy Keach, really good in his role. I like that, like the sort of like setup for all of these guys and why they're sending him in, and the whole idea of like, oh, this time you've been infected with a neurotoxin and we've scratched you.
Which, by the way, I do think it works that they're so blunt, like, because again, it's dystopian future. So the fact that they're like, yeah, it's a virus and then we can time it and get,
Yeah, it's been
that works enough for me. Like, it's not like, like, what do you mean it works like that? It's like the technobabble there works because it's like it's a dystopian future under fascism. Who knows, what biochemical weapons they made. Wonderful, I just hate, though. So let me ask you a question. Do you think this film is a slight or a big bastardization of Snake Plissken? Because he is a fucking idiot for 95% of this film.
I mean,
he doesn't really have the cunning that the first, Escape from New York Snake has. Granted, a man of few words, but you hear half the time he's like, yeah, and like, you fucking retard, that's a hologram. And he's like, yeah.
I mean, I think it's slight. I won't say it's, because I do think part of the problem is that they've just given him too many lines. That's a big part of it. That, again, they wanted him to have that sort of like one-liner approach that a lot of 90s action films would feature. Is like, you've got to have the lines and that like somebody might catch on to and create a catchphrase from. And I think that the problem with that is that Snake is really, like you said, from Escape from New York, is a man of few words, and that's on purpose. We don't want to see the inner workings of his mind, like literally, verbalized. And so I do think that's an issue with Escape from LA. We don't need to have him creating catchphrases, things like, call me Snake. And then at the end, call me Plissken. Like, why? Why? It doesn't even...
Welcome to the human race.
Yeah, exactly. And that too. It's like, it doesn't really... Like, those aren't catchphrases, John. Those are just like...
Well, I think also those are like Kurt Russell, because Kurt Russell also did co-write the film. So I think like he's probably like, what if I said this? And John's like, I don't.
John's like, yeah, I don't know about that one, Kurt. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a huge, but I think that overall, I would say slight. I don't think it necessarily like mars the idea of Snake Plissken that you have, but it certainly...
No, I don't say that, but the film I don't think does a great job at like, making Snake
look like the kind of guy that it tries to make him out to be.
Yeah. I think it just, it's a poor man's Metal Gear.
Speaking of the neurotoxin, what do you think about that? Because again, in the first movie, he was on a timer, but it didn't necessarily make him any worse.
Well, didn't he have like a bomb? Like it was a...
Yes, yeah, but like again, that didn't really make him, like, it didn't make him fatigued, right? It didn't make him worse physically. In this movie, he does have he has a timer, and it does make him worse physically. And I think that, I kind of like that inclusion of like, not only do you have a timer, but the longer you go on that timer, the worse off you're going to be, because you're not going to be physically fit towards the end of that timer. So I kind of like that idea of like, and again, it's a short window too. It's like, he gets like 9.5 hours, like when he gets off and gets into LA. I like the whole like urgency that it sets up. I think that works pretty well.
I would agree with that. I think it's a good plot point. I think to kind of up the stakes. Because again, it's like, well, can't have you being just, all gung ho.
Yeah.
You got to suffer through it the entire time. So
yeah, I mean, I think that works well. What it does do too is it sets up that stupid basketball scene.
Jesus
Jones, who basically, once he captured Snake, he's like, you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna play a basketball game, and you're gonna play till 10, and we're gonna see if you can make 10 points on the basketball court. And it's like, I don't know where this idea came from. Who would think that in an apocalyptic future, at that time in the future, it was 2013 in the movie,
I remember when this happened. In fact, I remember watching it on NBC back.
Yeah, right. We're well past 2013 now, but in this apocalyptic future, a good idea for a part of this action-oriented movie is to have Snake Plissken play some b-ball on the court. I don't know where this came from, but it's a really dumb idea, and I don't think it translates well in the film because Carpenter has to use like slow-mo to show like Kurt Russell shooting baskets. It's so silly. I
almost think though is a Kurt idea because again, Kurt Russell was also before he got into act. Well, he was a child actor, but also too his dad owned an independent baseball team and he played independent baseball. Yeah. So I think it was like him being like, "Let me show my skills."
Just a physicality thing, like let me show off. I don't know. I mean, I just think again,
you expect something good like a dunk or something. He doesn't even fucking dunk. He like the coolest thing he does is like. He's like, "Oh, I'm almost tired," and he just throws the ball from half court, and like it goes in. They're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, I love that last part where he just hucks the ball, like sidearm hucks the ball, and just like goes in. It's
I do like it is stupid, but I do like the whole after everyone's like, "Die, snake, die!" Like snake, and then they go to Steve Buscemi like, "Wow, City likes a winner," like like.
Yeah,
that is funny, but again, like that whole bit is fucking beyond stupid. Like it's a 10-minute waste of time. Like, remember in how in Escape from New York, like they had like, "Oh, you're gonna have to fight your way out," and like in this cage match. Here it's like, here's the real cage.
Like,
you're gonna play
instead. It's like here's a basketball.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it's just a super silly inclusion. I mean, and that's not the only thing in Escape from LA where, again, you're like, "Oh, come on, John, what are we doing here?" Another one is the fucking hang gliding sequence.
Oh, that's fucking horrendous.
And not only is it paired with some really god awful CGI of them, apparently over the LA horizon, but also. It's also the whole idea of them like doing this hang gliding into the encampment that Cuervo Jones has, and then basically blasting everybody while they're flying around on their little hang gliders. Again,
they got cheat codes. They got cheat codes in because no one can hit them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're like sputtering about in the air. Everyone's like, "Oh no!"
It should basically be just like skeet shooting.
Yeah, because they're literally like just like a leaf in the air, slowly falling down. Like that's what they're like, and it's just totally ridiculous. But
I know
I don't get that either. It's not well thought out for an action scene.
And then of course we have to talk about the surfing scene.
Peter Fonda gets top billing for his 2 minutes of fame.
"Hey man, pretty gnarly out there. It's gonna be a big one. I've just been sitting around waiting. Everybody's going to the other place. What do they call that? What's the home base that they call that?
I don't know.
Happy Town or something like that. Everybody's heading over to Happy Town. I'm waiting for this tsunami, man." And it's again, I don't know where the ideas came from where they were like, it would be really cool. Snake Plissken just randomly surfing a giant wave for some reason.
You know what movie also had something like that?
What?
Die Another Day.
Yeah, I mean,
the James Bond film. Which it had the sky, the parasailing and then into tsunami surfing. You know what wasn't fucking cool either then? Back in 2001? That shit.
Yeah.
Like, just like...
it does have that too.
Like, it's so, like, just like... Again, like, the tone... Again, the film is so anachronistic. Because, again, it starts off hard with, like, this time, this the place, this what's going on. And then... For a satire, it just leans like it's just you can't go like that hard in the opening with like your politics and then be like, by the way, like fucking Miseru playing like as they're surfing.
I don't know. the surfing is just flat out ridiculous. And again, you know, this is something that John Carpenter should have laid out with the limitations of what they had available to them. Because again, the CGI is just terrible in this scene.
But I think the problem is back, like, by that time, like, it's in the mid-90s, everyone's thinking, like, CGI is the cure-all for everything.
Right.
So they probably were looking at it like, yeah, it's going to may look a little bit like shit, but at least looks better than what we could probably do. You know?
It's true. I mean, I just feel like I can't imagine sitting down, even in 1996, and seeing the CGI testings come in and saying, yeah, you know what? Let's roll it. Because, you know, I feel like there could be a cut of Escape from LA where all that CGI wasn't included, and it still would have been serviceable in terms of what they were able to show. Because the film does, you know, besides utilizing a lot of CGI, it still does have a lot of good action-oriented sequences and true explosions and model usage, like you know, especially in the beginning of the film with like the earthquake sequence. There's clearly some models being used there to show
Matt,
bridges.
There are some good. Sorry to interrupt, but there are some really good when like they're not using the green screen, like matte paintings for
exactly that too. Yeah, the matte paintings in the background. I mean, those are pretty good and showcase what could have been if they were like, you know what, let's just cut all the CGI and let's just try to do it as physical as possible, you know, and we'll go from there, and the audience will just accept that, you know, some of these limitations were, you know, we couldn't do. And then obviously cut some of the dumber stuff like surfing, no, unnecessary, just cut it. You know, like it's just completely not needed. Stuff like that, I think, you know, just making a few executive decisions would have put Escape from LA in a much better place. It wouldn't have fixed some of the major issues towards the end. Like, of course, the whole idea of Cuervo Jones is pretty awful. I mean, the way that he's supposed to be Che Guevara, and it's really just way too in your face. Like, I don't think it's redeemable, really.
Was to say, not only that though, too, they don't like expand into like the politics. Like, you can't go so hard as like about like, you know, I'm not saying he's wrong. Again, fascism sucks. Theocracy sucks. But you can't go so hard and be like, here's the enemy that's attacking, Cuervo Jones, Peruvian commie, and then be like, that's it. You don't get like, you know, there's no development there. It's just like, he's a commie, so he's the enemy. Which, in the terms of the American mind, very easy, you know.
I guess, yeah.
It's an easy thought. But again, it's not nuanced at all. Like, so, like, you got the opening, and then like this, it's like there's no nuance. Where the hell is the nuance for that one? And, like, again, the film just doesn't know. It's such a weird mix-up. It's trying to be They Live. It's trying to be Escape from New York. It's trying to be fucking Prince of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's infuriating. Like, cause they have, for like every good thing they do, there's like three bad things. It's like when they lean into the whole Western thing, like, when he's like, have you heard of a Bangkok showdown? I'm going to throw the can. And when it hits the ground, we all draw. And as he throws the can and he shoots everyone dead, he's like, guess I win. You know, that's cool. Does it do anything? No. It's just like, oh, that's like a cool little Western thing, you know, bit.
Yeah. I mean, because again, John is really combining all of the genres that he's used throughout his career. And again, like in the 90s, he had this, you know, particular fascination with more Western elements. Which I think we see here in Escape from LA, and then really leading into stuff like Vampires and Ghosts of Mars, where he really leaned into perhaps a little too much. He leaned into the Western stylings, but you know, I think that there is the corpse of a good movie with Escape from LA. It definitely needed a lot more nuance. It definitely needed And again, we're not saying like Escape from New York was particularly nuanced or not over the top in some ways. You know, if you think about some of the characters and some of the villains that populated Escape from New York, they were sort of over the top as well. But I mean, I feel like in a more believable sense, I feel like immediately when you see Cuervo Jones in that hologram when they pull him out at the beginning of the movie in Escape from LA, it's just so ridiculously Che Guevara that it's like, I mean, if you miss that, I don't know, man, you must you can't mistake it, and it's just a little bit too tongue-in-cheek for Carpenter to include it like that. And I don't know if that's partially George Coraface who's playing it up way too much, or if that's just how it was written. But
no, I think it's more how it was written. I don't think, because again, that role, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah,
I mean, there's not, and he's not even. It's not like he's like super hamming it up or anything. It's just
I do. Also,
it is what it is. Like, what the fuck do you want him to do?
Yeah. I mean, I do also think that the film suffers from an overall lack of perspective on what the goal is between Cuervo Jones and the United States. Because, like, again, it kind of sets up a very generic and not really well explained idea about, like, well, what if we had a special device that could control satellites? And we could EMP certain areas of the world.
So they just saw GoldenEye.
Yeah, but the idea behind it is not very well defined. So it's not really clear, like, what does the United States really want to do with this device?
Not only that, though, too.
What Jones really want to do with this device?
Not only that, though, too. Like, again, like, why would you program a world-ending one?
Yeah, right. Like, okay, guys,
that would turn.
We did
that would EMP the entire world.
Yeah,
like,
we did set up like individual ones, but for some reason, George over there, he set up one that can take out all of the satellites. Like, is that a good idea, George? Like, no one's going to use it. They'll never realize that the number code is 666.
I know, which again is very like, just on the nose, like,
The one thing too I love about this device is that it has to be in some ridiculously oversized black box that's not conspicuous at all. So, like, again, the whole setup of this movie is that the president's daughter, Utopia, is in an area where she can steal this black box, and it's like, why would you put a device like this that you definitely don't want to draw attention to in a gigantic black briefcase box? Like, why not hide it somewhere, like,
nice
conspicuous?
Nice Halliburton.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's a stupid idea, but I feel like the film does not set up the whole idea of, like, what will happen with using this device that well, because towards the end of the film, the president makes it clear, like, oh, we've got enemies storming our borders. We must use the device to, like, EMP them. And it's like, really? Where did that come from? Like, all of a sudden,
they said in the beginning, like, that they're about, like, that Che Guevara and his guys were going to invade America.
It just doesn't. It's not. But again, really well defined throughout the movies.
But again, it's just really, like, again, stupid, because it's like commie and third world. They're all just poor brown people gonna storm America, and it's, again, there's an opportunity for good nuance there, and they just piss it in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love the fact that the president basically is Kenneth Copeland. That's great.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do like that.
But what do you think about Snake basically putting mankind back into the Stone Age?
Yeah, like, I mean, while I don't really think that the film has a good nuanced approach to its ideas, I do like that ending a little bit, where he's got the match with the fire, like, man finds fire, Stone Age.
Well, it's funny too, because, like, when he's getting all his cool tech stuff, and he's like, "What's this?" And, like, they're like, "Just stick matches. You never know matches. Never know when you're gonna need them." And at the end, he finds a soft pack American Spirits, and he's sitting there and he lights them up, like, American spirits, no filter.
Yeah, I don't.
This is gonna be great.
I definitely don't mind the fact that he sets everyone back to the Stone Age, because I do think that's in Snake's character, and that Snake really doesn't. Again, if we think about from Escape from New York, he really doesn't. He's not a guy who plays by the rules. You know,
I don't give a damn about it.
Yeah, in terms of if we're putting it in CBS procedural terms, I don't play by the rules. I think it makes sense for his character to not really be on any one side. He's, kind of individualistic, and he makes decisions brashly. And I think that
So he's a libertarian.
yeah, maybe in some capacity. Yeah, it is probably so. And I think that it makes sense for his character. Is it a good or bad idea? I don't know. I think that's kind of an ideological question, and
I think in the world that he lives in, it's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Again, because everything is so shit. You're like, you may as well just hit the reset button,
right? And I think that's
To be fair, though, I don't understand though how an EMP knocking out all the how that works on the whole.
Yeah, they're just is it like temporary? Is it just
I'm saying, I've never heard of EMPs being like a permanent blackout.
Oh shit! Every fucking system and circuit is fried.
Which is funny too, because again, it's like you set us back. It's like you already know how to build like computers and stuff. So it's like you can look in how to get power, so you can figure it out. Like you'd be back in no.
I think it's funny because they act like there's no technicians around. Like they got that the guy from NASA. It's like
they sent them all to LA.
Yeah,
they sent them all to LA.
Ask the guy from NASA. It's like, do you know how to turn the electricity back? I was like, yeah, of course I do. Yeah, I mean, of course.
What are you fucking retarded?
Yeah. I do things like we'll have my bail out there in no time, like in Home Alone, but. It's I don't really understand the EMP element of it either, but it would be something different, I guess, if they like crashed every satellite and I don't know, something like that. But the way that the film ends, I don't see how it would be the reset that they make it out to be. But I'm okay with it for the sake of the purpose of the storyline. But I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a cop-out to not have to explain anything a little bit further. The people hear EMP and they're like, I don't know what that is. Especially for 1996. I don't know, what is that? They didn't have Call of Duty back then. Okay, so they weren't accustomed to hearing EMP in everyday language. So they Anything else? Well, Pam Grier shows up here
as a trans woman. It's wonderful. Very progressive.
Hey, I'm Hershey. With the little voice.
Very progressive.
There.
Let's say, very progressive until Snake grabs her twat and is like,
glad to see you're still packing a gun between your legs.
That's the thing too. Also, that's like again, like why this film is so anachronistic. The whole constant referral to like Snake in Cleveland, like that should have been like Escape 2. Like to fill in the backstory, like what's going on, because they constantly like Snake Plus gets slowed down since Cleveland.
Can you imagine though? I don't think it would have been that well received. Escape from Cleveland, like that sounds like an Italian knockoff film. Where the Italians were like, "What's a big city in the United States that people would recognize? Cleveland? All right, Cleveland. All right, let's go."
They had like one of those like boards where they like spin like.
Yeah,
Cleveland rocks. Yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel like it was like an attempt? Actually, I think the 90s may have been a little bit too early for that, but like you could kind of see that being sort of like a comic series knockoff that they would do. Like, we'll write a tie-in series where Snake and Hershey are in Cleveland, something like that.
It's called The Drew Carey Show.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to see Pam Grier. I don't think she doesn't get a whole lot to do in this movie, but nice to see her regardless.
Again, she gets like Peter Fonda like top billing, and she's in it for like 7 minutes.
She does, yeah.
But it's fine. I mean,
it rectifies that she was never in Escape from New York.
It's true. We got Isaac Hayes.
It's probably Carpenter had nightmares about not including her in Escape from New York, and so had to rectify that with Escape from LA.
How do you like the fact that her name's Hershey?
Not with a Y though, like the candy bar, but missing a Y. I get it, like, because it's like her, she, but she's not. She's trans. I don't know. It's a little play on it, but
In black, yeah.
in
So
black, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Pam, but not her best work, of course.
it's not even Steve Buscemi's best work.
It's true. I mean, he's fun enough. He adds a little bit of energy to the film, but yeah, not his best work. You know what his best work is? Hubie Halloween.
That's true.
Anything else? What else are we going to talk about? Anything we didn't cover? And we didn't cover the soundtrack, of course. It is a Carpenter soundtrack again.
And Charlie Walker.
Yeah. And, I think it's probably at its best when it's just reiterating the escape theme, which has
The
always
opening does.
Yeah, I mean, it's just always been a very very memorable theme, the way that it plays out. What do you think about the other stuff, though? It kind of incorporates a lot of different elements. Again, we talked about it a little bit. You didn't like to call it that, but nu metal is in there a little bit. Got surf rock in there.
I mean, the end songs from White Zombie, so
Yep.
that's all I could think of when I started playing. Like, Jesus Christ, that fucking White Zombie.
I think it's definitely not the best work from Carpenter, for sure.
No, he's definitely phoning it in. The whole bluesy, again, that's one of the things. It works, it's fine, but when you see the subtitles pop up, bluesy guitar, bam, bam,
Yeah.
and it's like, the film's not a Western. If you should have just made a goddamn Western out of it, or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Lean into one style. And the fact that, again, the film is, and again, this film, the way it plays and is written, should be the fourth film in a franchise. But it's a parody on itself that's an unwanted, unnecessary parody of a film that is well regarded in the name of why not? So, I mean.
Yeah. All right, let's give Escape from LA a rating. On a scale of 0 to 10 times Bruce Campbell gets to grab that woman's breast and say, "They're real, by God." By God, they're real.
Which is funny, by the way. The 4K that you gave me, he has an interview on there.
Yeah.
It's 9 minutes long. They couldn't be bothered to it be on screen. It's by phone.
Yeah.
Did you watch that or no?
No. I mean, I have, but like I said, it was a while ago. Whenever that Blu-ray came out, which was a while ago.
When you reviewed it for
10 years ago. I want to say.
Yeah.
I think it did actually get a 4K, and I don't have it, but probably should.
It still looks great though.
Yeah, the Blu-ray looks good, but
fantastic. Upgrades the film from a lot.
Yeah.
I would give it a 5.5. The film's not bad. It's not the desecration, miserable piece of John Carpenter work that's the biggest piece of shit of all time, and but it does bastardize Snake Plissken himself. It's an okay film. There are good ideas here. I think it's a film that's a trap of its time in the 90s with its CGI pacing and overall, plays to Mad Max and other things. It's a fun enough film. I don't think there's nothing here that's overly offensive. I think if you're a Carpenter or a Escape from New York fan, but I do think it's just an incredibly generic action film from the 90s with really bad CGI. It's got some fun points, but overall, it's not. This film is pretty unmemorable, and I don't. I would like to have seen like a more worthwhile effort from everybody. But yeah, 5.5. It's not bad, but it's definitely not anything I would ever recommend to anybody. Because it's just there's nothing here.
Yeah. I would give it a 6 out of 10. I think I did enjoy it just a little bit more than I did when I first watched it. I think it has a little bit of pulpiness to it that I did enjoy. I think it's really over the top. It certainly is not as nuanced as Escape from New York, and it doesn't have that gritty atmosphere that one does, which sits very well in line with stuff like The Warriors from that time period. Escape from LA is much different, and it does suffer from sort of the 90s-ification of things. Things had really progressed at that point. People were heading more towards CGI, and I think that John Carpenter kind of got it in his head that he could include some things that possibly were not available to him at the time when he made Escape from New York. I think that's kind of part of the problem, though. To try to modernize this movie into what it is with Escape from LA is sort of a poor approach, and kind of takes away from the elements that made Escape from New York work really well. I think the interesting idea about Escape from LA is it does try to follow the formula of Escape from New York, which works really well, actually. And if they had done that in a more grounded approach, I think the movie could have been a pretty good sequel. But with the way that Carpenter kind of went about it and included a lot of like really goofy, hokey stuff, doesn't always work out that way. And although I think it's a pretty, streamlined movie, I guess I would say, at an hour and 40 minutes, I think there's a couple of cuts that they could have made here where it would have been a much more enjoyable film for cutting out some of that excess CGI that was really unnecessary. So overall, I mean, I think it's an okay movie. I think it's, as long as you go into it knowing that it's kind of a over the top sort of kind of parody of itself, then you might find it's somewhat enjoyable to watch. And again, it's not Carpenter's best movie. It's not his best work. It's not his worst either. So I'll point that out and say that, for his 90s output, it's not too terrible. And I think, it does enough where it matches some of the ideas of Escape from New York. It just can't, stick the landing all the time. So, and again, too, Kurt Russell looking great in this 15 years later, still looks great. This film still kind of ogles him at times. He's got that leather suit thing going on that.
So 90s.
Yeah.
So horrifically 90s, that like one piece leather suit he's wearing.
It does remind me too of how like restricting that probably would be. He's got like straps around his legs. He's got a full overcoat on. Like that does not seem like something that, if you're going to be hightailing it through LA, trying to, get around quickly, it seems really restricting. And not only that too, I like the fact that they keep calling it, like it's a, heat sensor proof. So like, but then he only has, he has like cut off arms. So it's like, by God, I only see 2 arms moving around out there, giant biceps moving her, on the heat sensor. So it's just kind of silly sometimes, but I like the, again, like I said, Kurt Russell's still looking great here 15 years later as Snake. So, overall, I enjoyed it enough. So it did what it set out to do. All right. So that's Escape from LA. We got our last movie coming up for Red Hot 90s Action Summer Reloaded. And it's a biggie.
Oh, yeah.
One of the biggest 90s action sci-fi films of that decade. So, and I have only seen this movie one other time. Very long time ago.
Which is pathetic. Very pathetic.
We're also lucky. it came out at the tail end of the 90s, 1999. So we're lucky that it was included in this time frame. But we're going to be doing The Matrix.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Like I said, I've only seen it one other time. Of course, I know the whole... And actually, I've never seen the sequels.
What? Jesus!
Never seen the sequels. Should put that right out there.
God.
I've only seen The Matrix, and I believe I've also seen at least, I think, most of the Animatrix.
I was going to say, have you
yes, I have. I believe I've seen the Animatrix. But yeah, other than that, it's been a really long time.
How does it even happen?
I don't know.
I'm just saying, I don't even understand how it happens. It's a film that was so everywhere.
Yeah.
Inescapable.
I think it falls into that same meme of, like if someone who didn't watch Game of Thrones, then you must be socially just...
Retarded?
No, not retarded. No, but you cannot be influenced by, your peers or social situations. You are just immune to that sort of thing because, again, like...
I still need to watch it.
Yeah, it's that idea that, like, everybody was talking about it. Everybody was watching it. And you sat there and you're like, I'll check it out sometime. And you just weren't interested. I guess that's me. That's me with the Matrix stuff. Because like I said, yeah, I did see the Matrix back when it first came out, but I did not see the sequels. I believe I even owned the Matrix. Which one did I own? I want to say it was Reloaded, I think. I even owned it on DVD, but I just never watched it. So
I can't wait. We're going to have to do the other.
Gonna be fun. Yeah, it's gonna be fun to do it. But I didn't even know that there was another. I forgot that there was that 2021 one they made, The Matrix Resurrection.
Still haven't seen it. I kind of refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
It's nothing against the Wachowskis. It's more just like I don't wanna.
You don't want to ruin the.
Well, the rest of the films kind of do that, but I mean,
true. yeah. Like I said, I don't. It'll be fun because I haven't seen this movie in a really long time, so checking it out again.
It's Mr. Anderson. Hear that? That is the sound of inevitability.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So can't wait to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait either.
Well, thanks for listening to our episode on Escape from LA. Hope you enjoyed.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Say it right.
John Carpenter's Escape from LA.
Thank you.
If you want to listen to our episodes coming up, including The Matrix, and also we'll be getting into the Halloween stuff soon. I believe we have a theme already picked out, so.
But if you have ideas, send it to us.
Yeah, send it to us. But I believe we already have a theme. You'll want to tune in and subscribe to us on any podcast app that you use. We're on it. Our home base at Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever you use. Subscribe, leave us a nice review. We're on Facebook and Blue Sky. Search for us on there, Blood and Black Rum Podcast. We have an email address at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com, where you can write to us, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to cover, and we'll keep that in consideration. And you can also donate to us on our Patreon or Spotify pages. Anything you donate goes back towards beer. Appreciate anything that you can give our way. Thanks for listening to our episode. Hope you've been enjoying Red Hot 90s action summer reloaded so far, and we'll end it next time with The Matrix. And until then,
take care.